What's going on, everyone? Hootmoney here with another video for you guys today. Today, we're talking about ATER or Aterian stock, the short squeeze that is behind the play, why exactly this play is popping off in the first place, and all that good juicy stuff. Now, ATER, this is a stock that we did get in on Friday. I bought in at 238 and I alerted my VIP Discord, which is that first link in the description below. We were able to sell a 50% gain on shares alone, and some of the options that we're seeing did go up over 10x from this morning. So make money with me, my friends. I called out ATER on Friday. We sold it today for a big fat juicy gain. Hootmoney trade alerts, first link in the description. Let's make money together. Let's do it. But I'm not here to just hand you guys the fish. I'm here to teach you guys the fish. So in today's video, we're going to be going over the psychology behind ATER and why it had such a big violent move in today's market. All right, so here I have this social media scanning software that right now it is in early development stages. I cannot give you guys the link to sign up for this software. Currently, I have exclusive access to it, so I'll try to explain it to you guys today. So we obviously saw major price action today, but what we're looking at is what exactly came before it. Think of these shaded regions up here as how bullish retail investors are on Reddit for a particular stock. If it has lower values, like on the left hand side, they are less bullish, right? But if they have higher values and it's shaded a lot darker, like on the right hand side, they are much more bullish. Now, I've done this a few different times where I'm measuring essentially how bullish people are on a stock, right? And then I'm looking at the price action. So what we saw here was decreasing price action over a 3-day period for ATER, but people on Reddit were getting a lot more bullish. And as you guys can see right here on April 1st, it was very bullish. And compared to today, what people are doing today, people are always more bullish when something is already up, which is not necessarily what you guys want to do. You guys don't want to be bullish while the big crowd is bullish. But what we did see is increasing statistics. So this is what I call social media bullish divergence. I don't know if there's a real term for that, but that's what I call it, right? And that's where sentiment is picking up as time moves on and on social media, like we're seeing here on Reddit. But as time moves on, again, stock price is going down, which is kind of like a technical indicator. That's bullish divergence, right? So we saw big time awards too. So 3.5K award price as well. So it was a very good post on Friday, apparently, according to that. And this is really what kicked it off over the weekend. As you guys can see, there was it went from 2 posts on Friday to 4 posts on Saturday to 7 posts on Sunday. And then it really started to heat up on Sunday. And then today, after the price already went up a ton, that is when people are the most bullish, which isn't necessarily the best thing. We also saw tons of bullish divergence here on the weekly chart on Market Cypher. So as you guys can see down here, there was bullish divergence across the board. I mean, all the way from this run that we saw back in September, October of last year, which was basically put ATER on a bunch of people's radars. So that is another reason why I was thinking it was pretty bullish. Again, it was also off only about 10% from its all-time low right there. So it was only a 7% downside. So right now I'm seeing total asymmetric risk to reward, right? Because this thing is only 18 cents from its all-time low, 7% downside, right? We're seeing bullish divergence on my scanners, right? Like we were just talking about. It's amazing. Like you don't really get something set up this well. Also, Unusual Whales flow was looking very good. I'd like to quickly thank the sponsor of today's video, which is Moomoo, a licensed FINRA broker that does absolutely zero payment for order flow. As you guys can see, if you deposit $1 on their platform using the links below in the description, you can get up to $7,000 in free stock. Also, if you deposit $2,000, you get an additional up to, what is this, $11,500 worth of free stock. Absolutely insane. That's $10,500. So in total, you can get up to $17,500 in free stock if you deposit $2,000 on their platform. Honestly, I think the just $1 to get up to $7,000 is a great deal. It's essentially free lotto tickets on Hootmoney. You can find it using the link below in the description or in the pinned comment section. But with all that being said, let's get right back into the video. On top of all that, if we move down here, we can look at the free float and see how this thing has changed. There was an update to ATER's free float as of yesterday. It went from 43 million shares to about 28 million shares. So the decrease in free float, if we're just looking at supply and demand, if you decrease the supply of something from 42 million to 28 million, it makes the price go up. We have a supply shortage on gas globally because Russia, right? Now that there's a supply shortage, you look at your gas bill, that's been going up. It works the exact same way. It's just simple supply and demand. Now, we're going to look at ATER's Ortex because this also changed up the Ortex data. It made the Ortex data move from roughly about, okay, they had 9 million shares short as of the last settlement date. That put them at 27% shorted. Now, because of the decrease in free float, short interest is now up to 35%. So that is good as well. And at the same time, dilution on ATER is at a very minimal. We'll compare it right here to NILE, which is Nile. We're looking at delusiontracker.com. I'm not like sponsored by them or anything. I just really like their service. Obviously, Nile has a very high chance overall for dilution. And as you guys can see, their current shares outstanding for NILE is 85 million shares. But potentially speaking, the next time they report their float, it could be upwards of 380 million shares. And this is because of their at the market offering that they have right here. So you can see this was registered on February 25th right there. There's a good chance that a lot of it has already been completed, but they do have the ability as a company to raise upwards of $200 million by selling their stock. If we look at ATER, there's not really much to do. There's a few warrants, right? But these warrants can't even be exercised until $25 per share. It's nowhere even close to that. $15 right there as well. These warrants right here are the one thing to watch out for. They're pending effect right now, so they can't go into effect right away. But that's for 7 million warrants, which would add a substantial amount to their float. And the exercise price is for $3.20, which is now in the money. So that's the one thing to watch out for. But again, it's pending effect, so they can't exercise those warrants right now. And there's really not too much that can be added to the current shares outstanding. So that's what's good for ATER. The only thing to watch out for is they have a high offering ability, which essentially means that they could conduct a shelf offering, or just they can file with the SEC an offering after hours, like an S1, something like that. And that will have an immediate effect on the share price. So that's the one thing to watch out for. After hours, you can get more or less kind of screwed by it, right? Especially if they just randomly out of the blue, call that, right? We're looking at the unusual whales flow right here for ATER. And as you guys can see, it's absolutely insanely bullish. At 10:14 a.m., this got kicked off with a $79,000 worth of premium into an option, a call option expiring 4/14. Now, this is already up substantially right now, which is good for obviously the buyer. But yeah, I mean, ATER has been going crazy. Looking at these charts, you guys can see it's 96% bullish overall. Here you guys can see the daily flow breakdown for ATER. As you guys can see, it did spike up significantly in call volume today. This could be similar to the August and September rally for ATER. We could be kicking off something similar to that, but I'm not necessarily betting on it. Typically speaking, when this call option volume is this high, wait for a dip before getting your re-entry point. On top of that, looking at the implied volatility, it was chilling around 150% implied volatility right here. Now, if we're looking at the money options for ATER, if we're just looking at April 8th right here, This implied volatility is at 300%, and then for April 14th, it's at 227. So the implied volatility also definitely spiked up significantly while trading in this range. So while it can potentially sustain higher implied volatility for, it could sustain it for potentially a month, you do risk when it does spike up like that you can potentially get IV crushed like you did right back here in October and November. Max pain for April 8th currently is at $2 per share, which definitely does pose some downside risk because we have been seeing a lot of these stocks hit their max pain. So definitely pay attention to that. And then for April 14th, it also shows some downside risk with the max pain being at 2.5. But like we were looking at in the flow history, there was not too much volume in terms of the call option volume over the past month or so. So this is really picking up now. And I think from this point forward, that's when options are really going to take a significant effect on the share price of something like ATER. Here's the volatility skew. This is the warning for people. If you're going for these 4/8 right here on the chart, as you guys can see, it has the highest volatility skew. So just be careful. Going for weekly options is very, very risky as they are the most expensively priced, and they have the limited time until expiration. You have the least amount of time for the stock to make a move. And then here is the gamma exposure dashboard. Again, call option volume is really picking up now for the first time in months. So this is not super significant. There's not too heavy of open interest out of the money, but there is some good positive net gamma exposure, which could increase buying pressure on the way up. So to summarize why exactly I bought ATER, first and foremost, it was the bullish divergence on social media and the declining price action. That definitely is what put it on my radar. Then again, I checked right here and I saw there was extreme bullish divergence on these weekly candles. Ever since the September run-up, there's been bullish divergence on the weekly candles, given the float has increased since then. But still, it looked very, very good from a long-term technical setup. On top of that, we did note that the float decreased. It went from 43 million right here to 28 million. That's a substantial float decrease if you have less supply of a stock, which is essentially the float. The float is the supply of the stock. If you have less supply and demand would suggest that price goes up. And with all that being said, ATER was close to its all-time low. It made sense for the price to go up. And it has less of a risk of dilution. Right here, you guys can see that doesn't have too much of a risk. It has a medium risk, opposed to things like Nile that have a very, very high risk of dilution. So it's less risky in that factor. And again, this ties into the supply of ATER. It went down, and they have a less chance of actually getting supply dumped on them. But again, holding overnight is risky to some extent because they could file an S1 or something like that and capitalize off of this increased volume that they're now seeing today in their stock. I'm sure they do that. If they're a smart company, they do it. Maybe they let it run a little bit more, right? This could potentially run even way higher than it is right now. They could potentially do that, but it is a risk, which is why holding overnight is potentially risky. That about sums it up, my friends. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you guys made money off of this play, I congratulate you guys. I saw people who made 10X's on options at open. I made a very significant sum. I loaded up on margin on Friday. I sold this morning. I took off my margin pretty early on. I ended up selling a lot of my other shares at 360, so that was my price that I got out at. But regardless, we bagged up. Hootmoney trade alerts, first link in the description. If you don't want to miss a play like this again, you get all of this analysis for free, first person, right? You're not, I'm not posting this to Twitter. I'm not posting this to my free Discord. I'm not posting it to YouTube. This was a Hootmoney trade alerts play right here. We bagged up on it. Let's bag up together, guys. First link in the description for that. Moomoo, if you want up to $7,000 in free stock, all it takes is a $1 deposit on their platform. That's the second link in the description. First link in the pinned comment section. But with all that being said, I hope you guys learned something today. I hope I taught you guys how to fish. And that's about it. I'll be seeing you guys next time.